Hello, welcome to ZurMed. My name is Dr.Liubov Uslar, and I'm here to talk about a very important and yet so simple topic. I would like to talk to you about vitamin D. I'm sure that you have heard of vitamin D and benefits of vitamin D for health, but very few people know about a full range of benefits that this simple vitamin can offer. Number one, vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It acts as a hormone in our body, and it goes to the DNA. It penetrates the nucleus of the cell and goes and sits on our DNA and activates or deactivates certain genes. And this is a very, very interesting fact, because usually we think that vitamins just help our cells to function. But this vitamin specifically can change the way our genes work, and that's why it's so important. People who have low vitamin D, which is called deficiency, usually suffer from certain medical problems that are associated to deficiencies. If the deficiency is profound, we can observe sometimes problems with the immune system and also many other medical problems. In fact, research has shown that vitamin D participates in almost every cell, in the function of almost every cell, and is related to a variety of different organ systems. Some research has shown that our lungs and our respiratory system uses vitamin D to function properly. For example, people who have low vitamin D, they have pneumonias more frequently, they suffer from allergies more frequently. The same with cardiovascular disease, also inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and other rheumatologic conditions are more frequent and more severe in patients who have a low vitamin D. Also, interestingly, vitamin D deficiency was shown to be related to cancer. Certain cancers grow faster and are more aggressive if a patient has a low vitamin D. The same reproductive system. The problems with reproduction, especially in women, have been linked to vitamin D deficiency. Of course, it doesn't mean that every person who has low vitamin D will suffer from a certain medical condition, but there is a link to deficiency and a more frequent manifestation of a disease. Knowing that, it becomes very obvious that vitamin D plays a very, very important role for our health. I would say the most paramount role it plays for immune system. Patients, or in general population with low vitamin D, suffer a lot more from different infections, different viruses, bacteria, and by strengthening immune system with taking supplements of vitamin D, sometimes we can prevent or even treat certain infectious disease. That's why it sounds very simple, because vitamin D is available in almost every pharmacy over the counter, and it appears a very simple solution to go buy vitamin D, and it appears like all the problems can be solved, but it's not as simple. First of all, we need to know how our vitamin D is absorbed and how do we get it into our system. Most of the times we get vitamin D with sunlight. This is the major source of vitamin D. The precursors of vitamin D are produced in our cells, and then in the skin under the UV light, those precursors get activated and form a functional, fully effective vitamin D. Other sources is food, like fatty fish or fish oil. They have some vitamin D, but the sun exposure is a most important source. That's why a healthy sun exposure without sunburns, several minutes a day, like 10 minutes a day, is absolutely necessary for natural production of vitamin D. How do you know if your vitamin D levels are low, and how would a patient determine what supplement they need to take? First of all, of course, you need to consult your doctor and probably take some blood for tests and see how the vitamin levels are in the blood. And based on that, the dose of the vitamin D supplement can be determined. It's very interesting to know the levels of vitamin D because also the levels have been linked to a certain severity of medical problems. I will give you an example. During COVID times, patients with low vitamin D levels were a lot more likely to suffer from a severe complication of COVID, be put on a ventilator, suffer from a pneumonia, as opposed to those patients who had a high vitamin D levels. That's why knowing the numbers is important, and your doctor will help you do that. For people who just want to do some prophylaxis and or preventative medicine, they just want to make sure that they do take some vitamin D, but don't overdose and don't underdose. There are supplements over the counter, but even then, I would recommend you always consult with your doctor. Having said that, vitamin D is an extremely, extremely important supplement in our nutrition. That's why we need to pay attention that we take it, or that we go regularly to the sun and get our sun exposure, and that we measure our levels with a doctor. And we can prevent so many different problems just by this very simple, very good measure for our health that we can do just at home. So if you have more questions, if you're interested about anything related to vitamin D deficiency, or anything that can be answered by a medical professional, you can always also contact me. You can write me an email or call me with questions. In my office, I also treat patients with high-dose vitamin D for certain medical problems. We determine vitamin D levels. We assess what needs to be done. My phone number is 617-712-6539, or you can write an email to dr.uslar@gmail.com, dr.uslar@gmail.com. Thank you very much. You're with Zurmed.